Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, how are you doing now these days? Actually we are passing very awfully dangerous period of time. Right now we have to be so much careful about our passing our days, living our lives, doing our deeds, everything. You are students, you have some more duties beside your study. Being a social being, you have some social duties. Being a family member, you have some family duties to look after your family members and do some social works, social responsibilities, everything. Whatsoever, as we're to complete our all sorts of duties, all sorts of deeds, we have to divide our times. We have to select our topics very witfully, very wisely, and very prudently. I'm Allama Syed, your teacher of Daulatpur College, lecturer of English. Today I'm going to give you another class on transformation of sentence. Previous day I discussed something about transformation of sentence. Today once again I'm going to give you some discussion about the same topic of transformation of sentence. It's a very important part of English language by which a student can achieve his profoundness, his skill, his knowledge of composing sentences in a good, great and right ways. Today, at first we have to give a very little repetition about our previous class, and then we will discuss something more what is very essential to have a knowledge and about this very topic, transformation of sentence. And then let's start our journey about transformation of sentence. Transformation of sentence. This very phrase transformation of sentence, it's a deal of sentence, and the sole elements of sentences are what, words, phrases and clauses. These very three topics are very important to learn something more about transformation of sentence, because we discussed it previous days. What are the ingredients, what are the components of transformation of sentences? Then we discussed that there are some classes of transformation of sentences, some branches of transformation of sentences. These are descriptive sentence, structural sentence, comparison of adjective and adverb, and voice, that is active voice and passive voice. Right now we're discussing about this very important branch of structural sentence of transformation of sentence. Later we'll discuss about the rest of the topic of transformation of sentence, like descriptive sentence, comparison of adjective and adverb, and active and passive voice. So it's our topic today to discuss about structural sentence. This structural sentence are classified in three branches. What are those? Those are simple sentence, complex sentence, and compound sentence. Complex sentence, simple sentence, and compound sentence. At first we have to know what simple sentence is. Probably we discussed previous day about the definition and characteristics of simple sentence. Simple sentence is such sentence which normally deals with a single subject and single finite verb. That is, the sentence what contains only a single subject and single finite verb is called simple sentence. That is, here regarding the discussion of simple sentence, here words are very important. To deal with words is very important. At first we have to know what words are. Speaking easily or frankly, words are those what keeps a single meaning. If a word carries a single meaning, it's called a word. If a group of words carries a single meaning, then it's called a phrase. So there is differences are that actually word is consisted with a single word, and phrase is consisted with a group of words, like two or more words. Then the rest of the discussion is clause. Clause has also some similarity between phrase with phrase. Is that actually phrase is a group of words, clause is also a group of words. But phrase itself doesn't have any subject or predicate. But clause is such a thing which has a subject and predicate, yet it's a part of a greater sentence. So clause is a group of words Clause is a group of words which has a subject and predicate but remains as a part of greater sentence. Then what's the definition of clause? clause is also group of words like phrase, but phrase doesn't have any sort of subject or finite verb. Phrase doesn't consist any sort of verb or finite form of verb, but clause is a group of words which has a subject and a predicate but remains as a part of greater sentence is called clause. Like certainly here we can set some example here of clause. When the thief saw the police, he ran away. Here we can certainly observe here that there is two parts of this sentence, but these two parts consist of greater sentence, like when the thief saw the police, he ran away. This altogether is a sentence, but here there are two parts of the sentence. There, when the thief saw the police, it's a part of sentence. Another part of sentence is that he ran away. Here we can see that this actually both the part of the sentence consists of a single subject and single finite verb. Like when the thief, here the thief is subject undoubtedly, and saw is a finite verb. Here also he is a subject and ran is a finite verb here. But with the addition of these two clauses, a sentence is performed here. But if we notice here that there are some part which can express its meaning very clearly and depending with none. Like he ran away. This very part can express its own meaning depending on no other part of the sentence, like when the thief saw the police. And if we deduct this part of the sentence here, then it can be a single and indefinite sentence, complete sentence, like he ran away. He ran away itself is a sentence, and that's why it's called a principal clause. So, principal clause is such clause which expresses its own meaning depending upon no other part of the sentence, and it has some speciality, it has some characteristics like that. This principal clause doesn't carry any sort of subordinating clause before the subject. And another thing is that if principal clause is deducted from the sentence, it can resume as a complete sentence itself. Now think about the rest of the part of the sentence, like when the thief saw the police. It's another part of the sentence, and it's called the principal clause, a subordinate clause. Sorry, it's a subordinate clause. Here we see that there is a subject, the thief saw another finite verb, and the police is the object. So the main and prime component of the subject sentence is the subject and finite verb. But before this subject, we can notice here that there is a subordinating clause, and as another very important thing is that if we can make a meaning of this clause, when the thief saw the police, it cannot express its meaning itself very clearly. Rather, it needs some help to express its meaning. It needs help of the principal clause. And if we deduct this subordinate clause from this very part, subordinating clause, subordinating conjunction when, if we detect this when, then we can notice that the thief saw the police remains here and it can be turned as a principal clause and it acts as a principal clause. So we notice here that if we want to turn a subordinate clause to a principal clause, at first we have to detect the very subordinate clause from this subordinate conjunction from the clause, and these are the speciality and characteristics of the clauses. So clauses are very important to perform a complex and compound sentence. Then what is complex sentence? By this time we have got the definition of simple sentence. Simple sentence is a sentence which carries its meaning, which is performed, which is actually structurized by a single subject and by a single finite verb. And complex sentence is a sentence which is consisted of a principal clause and a subordinate clause. So complex, we can say that, we can write here that simple sentence equal to of principal clause. Complex sentence equal to have principal clause plus a clause or a subordinate clause plus a principal clause. Here you can feel puzzled here because I'm writing the same thing twice. No, not that exactly. It means that principal clause and subordinate clause means in complex sentence, principal clause may be seated at the beginning of the sentence, and sometimes it can also be seated at the later part of the sentence. That's why I wrote here that principal clause plus a subordinate clause and or a subordinate clause plus a principal clause. Then let's discuss about compound sentence. What compound sentence is? Compound sentence is a such sentence which is consisted with two principal clause. That is, when a sentence is composed with two principal clauses is called compound sentence if it is added with a coordinating conjunction. Like then we can say that when two principal clause is added with coordinating conjunction like and, but, or, nor, either, whether, as well as, not only but also, etc. and so on. If these very two principal clauses are added with such conjunction, they are called compound sentence. So we can write here that compound sentence is equal to a principal clause plus a principal clause. Then why didn't I write here two principal clause? Because this very clause then that what actually is adding here, this very adding conjunction is coordinating conjunction. So if two principal clauses are added with a coordinating clause, a coordinating conjunction is called compound sentence. So simple sentence equal to a principal clause, complex sentence equal to a principal clause plus a subordinate clause, or a subordinate clause plus a principal clause, and compound sentence equal to a principal clause added with coordinating conjunction another principal clause. They are called compound sentence. These are all but everything of our class today. We will have to wait for the next class to have a very meaningful and significant discussion. You please look your eyes towards the next class and keep yourself sound and healthy, and look after your nearest and dearest ones. Till then, bye.